Hey, everybody, welcome to Tattooed in Business. I am your host, Brian Merrill, and this is Life in Business through the eyes of a Gen X male who's been in business for over 20 years. These are my life lessons, what I've learned, what I've seen, what I've done, and how I can hopefully help you save yourself from making the same mistakes I did. And if anything else, help out somebody out there. So it's March Madness, man. And then this is like my favorite time of year. I love the NCAA tournament, and I love the excitement of spring. But in the business world, it's kind of like the same type of thing. So you have March Madness, and even though like you're talking about like the tournament and everything like that, most people's sales pick up this time of year as well. And it's it could be a spring thing or whatnot, but a lot of it has to do with people are getting out more. Like today, I was out on the road and I did cold calls all day long, man. I'm stopping at different factories and industries and businesses and straight up cold calls, man. And it felt good, and the energy felt really good out there. And as I'm out there meeting and talking with different customers, now when I do a cold call, I'm looking for someone who did not or has not done business with us and fresh blood. So, I mean, I have a history of people who've done business with. I don't consider that a cold call. That's a warm call, right? You have something, you know, history or something that you were working with them before or whatnot. So I focus on the true cold calls. That's what I like to do. And when you're out there, so I'm going to put this in like basketball terminology for just because I like basketball. And you always got to find out: are you the number one seed with that customer? Like if you're doing business with them, are you their first go-to guy? Or are you that Cinderella story trying to break into that tournament and change the whole brachiology of it and move on, right? So, at this point, I'm not the number one seed, right? I'm looking to take out the number one seed. I'm looking to do the upset, right? I'm looking to move in and find something that they're either not doing for you or falling short on or just not hitting their expectations, and hopefully I'm opening up the door for me to get a shot to go in there and work what I have to offer. Now, if I walk in and someone's happy with their vendor and they don't really want to talk, like I don't push them, man. That's great because you know if there's a crack, it'll reveal itself. So I always go back to self awareness, and I get that. But the self awareness of it is, where are you with that customer? What are you doing to stay in front of them? What are you doing to keep their business? Do they know you appreciate their business? And I've heard like two schools of thoughts to this. So I was just talking with my buddy Kevin today about when we write an email to someone, and he read me an email he was writing. And it starts right off with, "Thank you for the opportunity to give you a quote on such and such." And that's how I've always done mine because I've always said, I'm always very thankful for the opportunity to work with someone and to be invited to give a bid or whatever. Uh, and it's funny, is recently, or I should say recently, a little while ago, um, I was doing a workshop in the Success Champion networking thing. This is probably quite a few months ago at this point, and we talked about how putting yourself on the same level as your prospect, and how when you start off email or something with like thank you and like thanking them for that you're now putting them above you. And I really don't know if I agree or disagree with that. I'm always on the fence with that because I see that point. I see that how you can perceive it one way or another. But I also believe it's the way you take control of the meeting, and or if you take control of the email, and that's where I really excel. So this past week, obviously today's Monday. This past week, brought in the several calls, and what I do really well is sit in front of the customer and finalize where we're at to get to the next step, or I hate saying close the deal, but finalize that stage and move on to the next one to move forward. That's what I do really well. And we all do things differently. Sometimes I bring in my laptop. Sometimes I don't bring anything in. Sometimes I bring in just a pad of paper. Really depends on the situation and knowing where I'm at in the stage. That's where that self-awareness comes in. Knowing where you're at in that stage of the sale, or the sale of the process, where you know the right tools and everything to bring to the table. And that isn't necessarily an easy thing for a lot of people. for me, it does come. I want to say it come natural. I guess I've developed it over the years of doing sales calls and whatnot to know where I'm at in the process. But what I do really well is acknowledge and know where I'm at by listening and picking up on cues. And I love when you go in for a final presentation or a presentation, you have more than one person on your team there. I'm a big proponent of team selling in that aspect because while one's talking, the other one can either be taking notes, setting up, getting ready for everything. But I always come from that school of thought that weak salespeople need to have somebody come out there with them because they're not good enough to do it on their own. And that's not 100% true. It really is. There's you can work in tandem, but somebody always has to take the lead and be able to recognize when it's time to take the lead and when it's time to back off. And the right chemistry of salespeople will recognize that. So that's kind of like when you're watching the March Madness stuff, right? So going back to this time of year, salespeople or businesses pick up and we get momentum. And it could be just something simple about talking about the tournament, talking about spring coming, whatever. But we get in this like madness stage. Like I love it because like in upstate New York, we only have a short window for spring. And like I'm talking with a friend of mine has a business that they letter vehicles and whatnot, and then another business does IT stuff, and another business does financial planning, and we're all talking about basically like, oh my God, there's like been this boom. And I look back at, I keep pretty detailed documents, so even when I switch positions or what, and just how my sales activity goes. And I can, and I go all the way back to being in eighth grade from my math teacher, Mr. Stanton, one year wrote up on the board. He wrote my last name. And he wrote spring. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, why is it in spring you excel? In all winter, you're dragging your feet and you're kind of just going through the motion. He goes, but in the spring, you get excited, you do this, do that. And he always thought I was a big baseball fan. Truth be known, I really not a big baseball fan. I'm a New York Mets fan and first, and then I'm a Yankees fan. But I'm not a guy who will sit there and watch you get excited over it. I'm huge into football. But he always thought we had to do something with baseball. And so I kind of fed into that for, when I was young, quite a while, thinking that, yeah, it must be, that it's not. It's the excitement of everything that was dead coming back to life. And I think that's what happens in business is right after Christmas, we all kind of die a little bit down because we got to do taxes. So I'm going to blame this on the government. It's the government's fault for the one that chose tax seasons. So we die down because you have the tax season. And everyone goes in that frantic mode. And you get really bombarded with all the things you have to do, closing your books, everything in order. And I think that like kills the whole like sales vibe. Like most companies, they don't want you to call on them during that time. And it's a good time to talk to people. Then all of a sudden, it's done. Spring comes, life comes back into order. This March Madness thing starts, and we start getting excited again. We get amped up. We want to like go out and hit the road again. We want to like truly, truly get involved and stuff. And I love it. And we get excited about it. And then it carries over. It keeps carrying over. So momentum is the key. So like part of me like, okay, when you're on top of the mountain, you ever hear the saying, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man? And it's really true. Like you got to, but when you're on top of the mountain, are you as hungry as the people coming up? And if you're not going to be top of the mountain forever. You got to be hungry. You got to stay hungry. You got to stay engaged, stay moving forward. So how do you do that? How do you get your employees to do that? Well, starting in the spring, we're going to start doing some extra segments. Not out of my home office here. And we're going to feature different ways to do that, talk to different people and items. And I'm going to bring into the mix the people that I work with and the different industries they've been in and things we use. Everybody knows I do promotional products. I do branded apparel. I do commercial printing. One of the ways you do this stuff is you're having a sale. How do you get seen? How do you get known? How do you get everything? You got to have a reason for them to come in. So you got to advertise. And there's so many different ways you can do it. Social media is huge right now. I know media is taking a, traditional media is taking a hit because of it. And what we found during COVID is people were craving human attention. They like to have things in their hands or put in front of them to stimulate them to buy or to be active or whatnot. I'm a big proponent of putting something in their hands, the right message, the right time, and it'll give you the right result. I love direct mail pieces now. I never used to. I used to be a big person that says, don't do a direct mail. But a well thought out, planned, and backed up marketing campaign with direct mail will work. And that's why I say, like, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they do their call to action and they only use one source. All my money's in TV. All my money's in radio. All my money's in direct mailers. All my money, and I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. I don't give a shit if I piss anybody off. If you're spending your money in the fucking newspaper, quit wasting your money. People are not buying the paper. They're not reading it unless you want a 57-year-old to death freaking clientele. They're not reading the paper. Okay, so really think hard about it. Direct mail pieces had definitely had an increase, but it's the way it's being done. So it's a direct mail piece with a QR code, sending you to someplace, sending you to go do something, sending you to my radio ad, sending you to my television ad, sending you to my website. That type of marketing is what's working right now for businesses. Like I said, I do the branded apparel. I do all sorts of stuff like this. This was a great promo item I did, handed out to clients as a thank you gift. And you're thinking, hey, I'm sending you a thank you gift, but what you're really telling them is that you care about you, I'm engaged with you. This went to obviously specific people based on what it was, but it keeps my logo, my name in front of them. It's a more powerful version of a business card. When you're doing so, I got to ask before I show it up here. So a friend of mine came to us, and he wanted originally he messaged me about doing a business card, and I told him, hey, look, if it's a basic business card, I'll be the first one to tell you you're better off going to Vistaprint. You get a great deal on those, and but if you want something creative and something like that, then definitely give us a call at Curcio. We'll hook you up. He came up with. We didn't come up with it. He came up with the concept himself, and I'm telling you, it's freaking brilliant. If you haven't seen it, which, like I said, I'll ask Justin if I can show it. He did like it looks like a 1980s school picture background with the lasers and all this. He's dressed up like a school picture, and on the back it's like a trading card. He's a real estate agent, and it's like a trading card. So the real estate business is a very dated one that's probably about 20 years behind the rest of the world for marketing. In all honesty, they still think that you know they just still think like everything needs to be a billboard about them. And what a lot of real estate agents don't get is it's not about you; it's about your customer. Justin came up with a different way to connect with his customer. So finding the people that he will work great with. So he took some of his passions and one of his drive, and this was a great campaign. One, it's bigger than a business card. Two, it's cool, unique, and it's going to stand out. And that's what someone's going to hang on to. And it's funny because I tell people the best business card I've ever had. We had these aluminum blanks that looked about the size of business cards. And we laser engraved our information out. Now, are these cost effective? In no way, shape, or form. However, you buy 100 of those, okay? $3 a piece, probably. I can't remember what they cost us. $3, $4 a piece. Yeah, it's a lot of money. However, you have your regular business cards too. So when you're at a trade show or you're doing a cold call and you find that perfect fit that you want to be in front of and you want to make sure they're going to get your card or someone's going to be talking about you, that's when you drop that one. And I guarantee you it's going to create buzz in the office. And people want to get to meet you now, just like Justin's card, right? I go back into like this March Madness, right? Who isn't going to want to talk to this guy, reach out to this guy, work with this guy? That's what the buzz you're trying to create. So when you're that Cinderella and you're trying to knock off that number one seed in sales, that's what you got to do. You got to find a different way to play the game and stand out. And it's, it goes back to the old saying, don't hate the player, hate the game that you're playing. So don't hate the game, learn to embrace it, learn to challenge your competitors by doing something different. Don't do the norm, man. Like I tell everybody, like we do these pens, and I love these pens. I was turned on to my last company because, look, depending on whether it's a 4-side or 3-side, that's 3 sides of advertisement on there that people are going to hang on to. Those things make a big difference when you're trying to grab a customer. What are they going to say? If you want to put something in front of them that's going to stand out and keep you top of mind, so that when the madness comes and we're all coming, man, we're all coming up that number one seed. How do you stand out? How do you become that true Cinderella that can actually knock them off? How do you be the St. Peter's freaking College? I mean, how do you become that college, right, that knocks off, a number one seed? That's how you do it. You don't bitch about the game. You don't bitch about referees. You don't bitch about all that stuff. You find a unique way to get in front of that prospect that you want to be in front of, that they'll keep your information so that when they are ready, they're off thinking, they're going to reach out to you. So everyone, this is a little bit shorter than what I've been. This is how I want to do it. I thank everyone for checking us out. This is Brian Merrill's Tattoo in Business. Check out the scroll along the bottom. You can find us on Podbean for podcast source. Also, my website, or excuse me, I always say website, our YouTube channel, Tattooed in Business, and our Facebook page and Facebook group, Tattooed in Business. Feel free to message me, send me an email. Let me know what you think, man. If you get anything out of this, or you know someone that could, share it with them. Let them know we're thinking about them. And coming soon will be some GY6 apparel and some Tattooed in Business apparel for the fans out there. All right? Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great night, and I hope you all enjoy this great weather. All right? We're out.